And we are live, folks. Here we are. It is Coin Q&A. It's Thursday night, 8:30. Seems to be the regular start time now. I've got to set up one more thing on my screen, and that's to get over to find the chat. I think we got it now. If you have YouTube playing and you're on the panel, make sure you turn down the volume to nothing on the chat or on the YouTube. This looks right. I think we're in business here. I see people are starting to come in. I see Mantic Coins, Chris, Gan, Ant2242. Good to see you here. Okay, and I got to set up my screen. There. Okay. A new thing. Make this work right. I don't think I can make it work right. Oh boy, this is complex. Now Paula is going to take care of the chat, keeping an eye on chat. So you folks over there in the YouTube chat, if you have questions, geez, jump right out and ask them. We're trying to keep somebody watching the chat at all times so we don't neglect people. We got a lot going here. We got a lot going on, and jumping back and forth from one screen to the next can be a little confusing over here. So here's what's going on. We have the email, checkmycoin@yahoo.com. I might even have it right up here. Work on the spelling. But this is what it should look like, and this is where to send your photos and your questions. Make the photos the clearest you can. Have them right side up rather than cockeyed. It's going to save us some hassle. We understand you're not photographers, you're coin people. But we'll do the best we can with what you have to work with. And we fully understand that they won't be perfect. So do what you can. We got a bunch of people here. Look down here at the bottom of the screen. Starting to the left, I got Chuck Daughtrey. We can go through the line. There's Chuck, there's Chris, there's Jeff, there's Paula, there's Mantic, and Mantic actually has a name. It's what is it? He'll let us know if you can. Anyway, we can start with Chuck and go through the roll call and tell us a little bit about yourselves, what you're doing, what you like to do for fun.
I'm the owner of Copper Coins, and what I like to do for fun, I guess, is coins, because I don't really do much else other than walk my dog. I have immersed myself in the world of broadcast YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, Copper Coins. Come take a look at it. We'll be having an auction next Tuesday night. And I've been in Lincoln since 1975, so I've got a little bit of experience, just a couple of years. And I look a little young to be into it since 75, but I was 6 years old then, and I decided to get started, and I've been in it ever since. So that's me. I live in Florida, just so you know.
Very good. Chris Rhodes is next.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. Most of you may recognize me from the Coin Op Facebook groups and Coin Roll Hunting Facebook group. I write blog articles. I have a few YouTube videos. I was born well after Chuck got into checking out Lincoln Cent, so I'm a young guy in the group. Thanks for joining us. Oh, are you younger than me, Jeff? Darn it. I thought I was the young one.
I think he just called you old, Chuck.
Yeah, I think so. But hey,
sorry, I didn't mean it to sound.
All right, Jeff, tell us about yourself.
Okay, so name's Jeffrey Shumar, and Shumar Coin Chat's YouTube channel. You'll see me all over Facebook. I'm in countless groups, answer questions. You'll see a bunch of my sales over on Facebook too. Been collecting probably half my life now. I'll be 22 here in 5 days. So been collecting, I guess, that long. I think. I don't remember when I started. So kind of dwelled for the most part in terms of Lincoln Cents for a long while. That's where I got started in the varieties errors with people like Ken and Dustin. And then I kind of migrated down into the rabbit hole I am right now, at least, where I've been the past 3 or 4 months in terms of die progressions and die trends, which is can be a beast of a thing, at least.
Jeff, did you say that you're not even 22?
I will be 22 here in 5 days.
Oh my God, you're younger than my son.
My daughter too is younger than my daughter. My baby.
Oh. I got
So yeah, I
actually
guess.
have a daughter almost as old as you. Believe it
Yeah,
or
so
not.
I guess I'm the young guy in all of this. I jokingly say I jokingly say I deal with all old people all day.
Excuse me.
Paula, you're up.
I'm up. I'm Paula Bluhm. Everybody in chat knows me, or has been in my channel, has seen me. I love Lincoln Cents, errors and varieties. I'm a grasshopper. I'm an apprentice. That's what I like to say. I'm learning. And that's it. That's all I can say. I have a cat.
Hey, Paula, can I make a request of you?
You can make a request of me.
Okay. Can you turn your camera very slightly to the left?
To the left this way?
Yes. A little bit more.
Why? What are you trying to look at? My China hutch?
We want to see you, Paula.
We want to see you. You were all the way over on the edge of the screen.
Oh, I was? I know. I can't figure out how to get.
We're good now.
Okay. Thanks. Thought you wanted to see the old man in my. I have an old man in my China hutch.
Like a
Well,
mummy.
just don't tell anybody.
Okay.
I put him under my porch. Okay, next up is Shay Hoffmaster.
Let's see, everything's working. Yeah, mic's working. How y'all doing? I'm Shay Hoffmaster. I have manticcoins.com where I do coin roll hunts. I've been doing this for a couple of years now and focusing on half dollars and lately quarters, but I love all coins. And I'm a computer geek turned coin collector. So there you go.
What? Computers come first?
I've turned into a coin collector.
Oh, okay.
Coins are first. Well, family first, then coins.
Family.
And I did it the other way around. I went to college just to learn how to program coin websites.
Nice.
I went to college and drank beer. Now, well, this is what I do. I'm Ken. I operate, let's see, all sorts of things. We have the big show. We have an auction on Fridays. We have the 1 Million Pennies Project.blogspot.com. It's a blog about coins. I like to talk about coins. I'm what you call a hobby promoter. And geez, if you like the hobby, it's a good place to be. Now, all these people in the channel here, Chuck, Chris, Jeff, Paula, and Shay, I have their links down below in the description below this video. So feel free to take a moment and click on those links and subscribe to their channel. Seriously, they got really good content. They're fun folks. They're knowledgeable. They won't lead you wrong. A lot of fun. Now, what we do on the Q&A, people ask questions about their coins. Real simple. Now, we get a lot of questions that'll show up over here in chat. So if you have questions, just jump right in. But if you have a photo of your coin, right? A lot of your cell phones will take a good quality photo. Make sure it's, standing upright instead of crooked. And you can send it into the email address we've got just below the description of the video. I've also got it over here, if I can make this work, on my desk. There it is. Checkmycoin at yahoo.com. Spell that right? Checkmycoin at yahoo.com. And we will look at your coin. We'll put it up on air and pick it apart or put it back together and give you the best information we possibly can. And you got some knowledgeable people here. How much is this worth? A fortune. Probably $16,000 at least. Yep. Your three most common questions are going to be identification. What is this? Then it's value. How much is it worth? And then the third question is, where's the machine I put it in so I can get my money? And so that'd be marketing after that. And we answer a lot of that right here. The easiest one to do is identification, because these people have seen a lot of coins, let me tell you. Now, we usually get started with a discussion subject while we're waiting for photos to come in. So get your photos in. It'll take a few moments here. People, messing around with the computer. And we start off with a panel giving them a question. And we just hash it out for a while. So this week we've got, the question is, not including coins, what are you spending to support your hobby? And this gets into supplies, gear, equipment. subscriptions, clubs or membership fees, dues, furnishings, travel, coffee, whatever you got. Any non-coin spending, because coins, good Lord, you can spend that until you just run out of money to spend. But what is the rest of the hobby?
Hey, Ken, can I blurt in something before we get started tonight?
Sure, go ahead.
So in the past week or two, I've had a few people reach out and kind of express that sometimes when we get into some of this technical mumbo jumbo that a lot of us, technical jargon, a lot of us use, there's some folks that don't necessarily understand what we're saying. This show is to educate. So if there's anything we're saying at any time through the night that you don't understand, say we say something like sublimation, and you just don't know what the heck we're talking about, stop us and say, hey, could you explain X and X? And we'll stop and we'll go over it. This is a show to educate you folks and answer questions. So if there's anything like that you're not fully understanding from us, just stop us and we'll gladly go over stuff again.
Can I ask the folks if they understand this? How about Ken Peavy's shirt tonight, huh? Take a look at that sucker. That's
my Bahamas shirt. Keeping the tradition of not buying shirts for the show. My sister got this, and we went to Bahamas last month. It says Bahamas, but it also says made in Taiwan back here. That's the way that works, I suppose.
You have the distinct. You have the distinction of having on your panel a member who is living in the place that is the closest place to the Bahamas in the United States. I live 70 miles from Bahamas.
I thought you were on the West Coast.
No, I moved. I live in Lake Worth now, over by Palm Beach.
Okay, I'm about 3-4 hours north of you. Up by the
I know.
Right here.
I have a pretty good idea where you live.
Yeah, look for all the trees, and that's where you're going to find me.
Yeah, exactly. You're that hermit out in the woods that lives all by himself, right?
I like it this way, man. It's quiet. It's peaceful. I can run around in underwear.
Don't do that.
Please don't.
Okay, what kind of money are you guys spending besides coins? What sorts of regular bills are you incurring, or what kind of odd, infrequent bills are you incurring with this hobby?
My first and foremost, and the thing I think that should be really pounded in hard, is optics. If you're using a loop or if you're using a microscope or anything, make sure it's high quality. The problem is when a lot of people buy a bunch of $5 loops and stuff and they buy a $50 microscope, they're spending money to get what they want to get because they're getting magnification. But a lot of people, what they don't realize is that magnification is going to kill your eyes. And I'm 50 years old. I've been doing this since I was a little kid. And I know that for the first 2/3 of my experience, I was not using a loop or a microscope that had enough quality to be sure that I was carrying through without damaging my eyes. And I do have eyesight problems at this point because of that. But I now use very good optics and understand why it's very important to buy a $100 loop, not a $10 loop. And so that's one of the big expenditures that you'll go through.
When I first started doing the coin roll hunting, oh boy, it's got to be 10 years ago now, maybe. I was using a magnifying glass. And I'll tell you what, after a month of using that, I was getting headaches. My vision was getting blurry in my right eye because it was the one I was favoring. And I ended up, my wife actually bought me a USB microscope on QVC of all places. She overpaid, but I still use it today. I actually use 2 of them in conjunction with each other with different magnifications. But yeah, without those, I wouldn't be able to find half of the stuff I have found. So definitely a good point on the optics.
Jacone is making a point. I've been doing this 2 years and had 20/20 vision before I started. Now I need glasses. I can't see crap up close, just far away, so I know exactly what Chuck's talking about. We also have the LED screens, right? And the LED lighting. Boy, we could talk about this all day. We can get right into this. Now, I've been offering inexpensive loops, and they're a good start. It'll get you by. But at some point, you're going to move up. You're going to move up to better gear, better equipment, better lighting, better screens, better optics.
I mean, it's okay to use a cheap loop infrequently. You know, if you're going to go to a show and you've got an extra loop in your car, and you happen to see a show come up and you've got a cheap loop in your car and you want to use it just to go to the show, that's great. But don't use a cheap loop to be looking through rolls of coins. It's just going to kill you. There's just no reason in doing that. There are better loops out there, and I would suggest getting one of them.
Yeah, kind of bouncing off a Chuck here. I remember when I first started searching through bags of wheats and stuff, my eyes would hurt at the end of the night. Bad for your eyes. So things like your optics, your things like your scope, it can really help to save your eyes. Buying a good loop. And when you buy a nicer loop, you can tell the difference. It's absolutely a difference. I wouldn't even recommend using a loop too often. I mean, I have a 10 times lighted loop I'll use every now and then, but I will just hurt your eyes too much to be using a loop all the time. Just not a good idea.
I guess some people might actually ask, what is it that I do use? This right here, if you could put it on my camera.
Coming up.
That was a question.
It's a 10x Belomo loop. I know it's hard to see. It's a 10x Belomo loop. It's a 10x triplet. You can get these now on Amazon for $25 to $30. And it's got really good optics in it. My only complaint with these is that the screws like to come loose, kind of like mine in my head. The screws like to come loose, and you got to keep tightening them up. Other than that, I've got zero complaints about this loop, and I've been using this very loop right here for over 10 years.
Can you spell that, Chuck?
It's actually B-E-L-O-M-O. B-E-L-O-M-O, Belomo. But because it's a Bulgarian company, it's written in Cyrillic. So it looks like B-E with an upside down V and then an O-M-O. But it's my loop of choice. And I used to use the old 16X Anco loops and, the ones that you can get at the coin stores and stuff. And, those I thought were great until I used one of these. And as soon as you use one of these, you'll definitely notice a difference. I met Amber Pannell at the show live a couple of years ago, and she was using one of the cheaper loops. And I let her use my loop, and she's like, wow, this is different. And you will definitely notice the difference when you use a good loop.
All right, I might as well jump in here and go with thinking outside the box answer to this question that I always give. So I would have to say the biggest expenditure that I have is time. Time. It's the biggest expenditure.
You mean your time is actually worth money?
Nowadays, yes. Nowadays, yes, absolutely. Especially now that I'm sitting in this educator type role now. I'll sit down and I'll answer 100 questions before lunch most days, just because I've built up a good reputation and people value my opinion on things nowadays. So I'll sit down before lunch or sit here with lunch. I'll answer 100 emails like it's nothing. So I mean that's my way, at least, with spending some of my assets to give back to the community that's helped me get to the point where I am now, at least. So time, I'll sit behind a computer most hours a day, at least, coins, answering questions, selling coins, working in acquisition, which I try to do about 3 hours a day. So time, it's just,
that's one of those things that I tend to face when people talk about people who write books and they sell the books for, $20, $30 a copy. And they're wondering, well, there's only about 30 cents worth of paper here. Where's the rest of the money come from? What am I spending my money on? Well, it's that person's research time.
And the 5,000 hours gone behind it. Yeah,
the countless hours that they've gone through to try to come up with correct information to publish in a book. And I'm 3, 4, 5 different books and articles behind me. And I know by having done that and the amount of time that I put into doing it, just how much time there is. And if I was actually able to charge even minimum wage for my time, you couldn't afford the book. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm starting to really understand that with the body of work that I'm working on now, at least. A lot of time, a lot of extra time. That's what I do with the extra time, at least.
Yeah, what
Extra
you're
time I
working
don't
on
have.
is a true nightmare. I just want to tell you that.
It's a nightmare, but it's a nightmare you love, at least.
Yeah.
It's fun. I love doing it. So it's a lot worse things I could be doing, Chuck.
Oh, for sure.
It's
Well,
fun.
that's what my wife says. She prefers that I sit in here in my office because then at least she knows where I am.
Yeah.
Chuck, Christopher Gann wanted to ask you, do you know how many 1982 small date zinc DDR that are known and the highest grade example?
That I know of, there's 3 known, and the highest grade example would be a low end MS Brown, probably MS62 Brown.
Thank you.
That's all I know. I
Okay.
did examine one of them. I've held one of them in my hot little hands. I've photographed it, and those are the photos that were used in Coin World, Numismatic News, and all different kinds of places. I sent the coin back to the owner, and a couple of years later, he needed some funding, and I was able to get a hold of another guy and procure a sale between the two. And so now the original discoverer of that double die does not own the coin. It's been sold.
Okay, so CJ just asked about storage costs, examples like safes, folders, etc. At this point, the stuff exits off my desk as quickly as it comes onto my desk. So in terms of safe and storage like that, I don't have to worry about as much as that as some of the bigger dealers, at least. But that is a big cost at times in terms of insurance. So that can be a beast on how much overhead of inventory and storage I have on hand, at least.
Yeah, for me, I'm more of a collector than anything, so I definitely do spend on storage. I prefer the higher end albums, unfortunately, like the Dance Goes. For most stuff, I also collect silver, so I have a bunch of different fancy containers for that as well. But most of the cost associated with what I do is self-sustaining. I'm a coin roll hunter at heart. That's where I started. And I actually started it with the intention of selling the stuff I found so I could buy silver because I wanted to just start stacking silver. And that kind of started because I was in some prepper groups and people were talking about stacking silver, and I just got into that. Along the way, I fell in love with these varieties. I found a few doubled ears, 1997, and it was just, I thought it was awesome, and I started collecting them. I'm at the point now where I've found so many different varieties. I don't even know how many hundreds of double dies I have, and so now I'm selling the doubles, the duplicates that I find. Then I started branching out and going to coin shows with the intent of reselling stuff. So I use all those profits to buy more to resell and to help fund my collection because I have a family. I have a wife who's sick and disabled, and I have 4 kids. So I have a lot of bills. So I can't really justify spending a lot of my hard-earned money on a hobby. So I use the hobby to sustain itself, and it's been working out pretty well for me. So.
Great point that Chris touched on is using the hobby to support its hobby. My father was a fisherman and a hunter, and that was all well and good. And he'd bring home the fish, which was great, and it would defer some of the food costs. But the guns, for example, these got to be pretty pricey. Bullets, trying out the sights, expending the bullets. Those didn't really pay for his particular enterprise. But with coin collecting, you have the opportunity to use the hobby and use the knowledge you gain from it to purchase what you see as a good deal. And people who are collecting those particular series or designs. You can use the hobby to pay for itself. So it will defray the cost of driving to shows, hotels if you're staying overnight at distant shows, all the supplies, the holders, the boxes, the albums. Oh, good Lord, the books. Those can go on forever.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to set aside a budget of, at least 40 bucks a month on books, just books, but I have some crazy expenditures. I never knew it was going to cost so much to do coin collecting. Actually, I would have to say it's beyond collecting, right? I kind of am a nut job about coin rolls, and I'm not even going to talk about how much I spend getting bank rolls. But there's if you want current prices that all the dealers are going to use, you want a subscription to the gray sheet, and that's like 30 bucks a month. You want I go through $25 or $50 of flips every 2 months of coins going out the door.
Oh, easy.
$30 and flip, and that's 1,000. That's 500 flips a month of coins going out. So that's not it's a pretty good clip. $30 a month on coin capsules for silver rounds and other coins to protect them. And my goodness, $10 in sacks and bags. What is that all about? Every slab gets a sack and a wrap, so it protects it. And my goodness, the amount of money we spend on different types of envelopes and I spend over $500 in shipping every month. It's crazy. And we've been trying to like do the cheapest shipping that we can find. But that's by far one of the bigger ones. There's all of one-time expenses like the loops, the microscope, all the YouTube stuff, the cameras, all that stuff. It's really one-time cost. I could depreciate it over time and give you a number, but I wouldn't even think about doing it. So there's a lot of upfront costs that on the seminar show that I did, I actually talked about growing into those things because you really don't need them until you want to scale out a little bit more. But poster board, coin tubes, all the way down to cookies that I send to bank tellers. What do I spend? Printer cartridges and paper and the accountant and bookkeeper. Toothpicks, pens. Oh my gosh, Dansco albums, and safes and bank deposit boxes. Monthly fees for those bank accounts. It could go on and on and on. And how much of that is necessary for just being a coin collector? Not that much. For being a coin roll hunter, pretty much. And being somebody who sells coins, absolutely necessary, I think. But there you go. Almost $1,000 a month, probably.
The deeper you get into the hobby, the more you tend to spend. But you can collect coins and not incur a whole lot of expenses, depending on how particular and picky you are. If you're picking out the very finest of coin, you're talking a $2 to $3 holder will probably get you by if you were using, say, an acrylic holder. Right? And $2 to $3, that's the kind you get the screws you put into. A good quality safe can cost you hundreds, literally hundreds and perhaps thousands of dollars. I've got one in the back room. It's bolted into the wall. You could get it out, but you need a chainsaw. And then
$100 worth of gas to drive to all the banks and coin shows and all the places, the coin shops every week. I scour 5 to 7 different coin shops every week looking for coin.
And I don't know if you guys have really noticed, but over the years, the cost of those supplies has just gone up tremendously. I can remember when I first got into buying flips instead of staple holders, my flips were like 3 1/4 cents a piece. Now they're close to 6 cents a piece. And it's just the cost of materials, cost of manufacturing, cost of plastic, everything's going up. And so everything's just more expensive.
Can I real quick expand a little bit on a question that was in chat? Jason asked about the 88 wide AM. I didn't see, I saw that it was answered that all 88s were wide AMs, which is true, but I think he might be asking about the transitional variety.
Yeah, he was asking about the 88 reverse 89, I imagine.
RDB 006.
I can answer that in a pretty succinct way if you like. 1988 held an earlier design on which the designer's initials, Frank Gasparo, the FG on the reverse, the G will not have a little tail, a little hanging down tail. And the 89 design was changed so that there is a tail. There's a nice little serif on the bottom of the G of the designer's initials. That design was used through 1992. In 1993, the design was changed again. When that design was changed, the A and the M came together in the design. Later on, when we finally discovered all of these differences out there, the A and the M that was together was called the close AM. The A and the M that was spread apart was called the wide AM. The wide AM design was used regularly from 1989 through 1992. Well, PCGS and their infinite wisdom, when they are holdering coins that are from 1988 but have the 1989 design, what do they put on the holder? Wide AM. That is so wrong. I can't even describe how wrong that is that they do that, because it's highly confusing to even experienced collectors.
Yep.
But to answer the question correctly, there are two different designs on 1988 Lincoln Cents. The G is supposed to have just a straight end. On the 1989 design, if you've got the transitional design, which is worth money, you're going to have a tail. You're going to have a serif on the bottom of the G. Both of those designs are wide AM. There's your answer.
The normal is
listed as a
the
wide
005, the transitional is the 006.
Right. That's if you're going by the Kaneka listings, yes.
Right. Thank you. I just thought that just needed a little bit more explaining, because it is seen all the time. Is this a wide AM?
Right. I think it's something that needs constant coverage, because there are so many things that the grading services have done improperly over the last 20 years or so. But this is one of the worst I've ever seen. Someone was explaining it to me, and I had no idea that PCGS was putting that on the holders. And when I saw it, it was a facepalm moment. I was, what are they doing?
Mm-hmm.
And no, I have nothing against PCGS, but I'm not going to support anyone who puts improper nomenclature in a published location where people can become confused by what they're seeing.
Yeah.
The last coin show I went to, I spent some time with Brian Rains at his stand, and we had a lengthy discussion about that also in the Cherry Pickers Guide. He is involved in some of the listings in that guide, and I know he's trying to fight the battle to get that wide AM nomenclature removed from the Cherry Pickers Guide as well, because that question comes up so often in the groups, and I can see why people get confused by it. So it definitely needs to be changed.
Absolutely.
I think they did it right with the quarters when they did a type A, type B, type C.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do that with the Lincoln Cents. We just call them by name, and that's where people get confused.
Where'd Blues go? He was just here.
Oh, Blues left?
He's here and disappeared.
Oh, they got storms right now. Yeah, type A and B would clarify it. A lot of folks want to know, how do I tell which one is, especially on the 88s, how do I tell which one it is? And the easiest way is pull out a 1987 and pull out a 1989, and which one does it look like? Because the 89s will be the type, well, whichever one it is, would be the wide AM design, which is what?
006.
That's the one that does have the serif at the bottom of the G.
Yeah,
There you go. Whereas the 87 would not have the serif. That would be the old style design.
That's correct.
05.
Yep, and there's plenty of resources online to be able to see good close-up images of both examples, including on my blog.
That'd be a place to look. I get really tired of it being on on the holders that this is the Wide AM 1988, and I was like, "What are you talking about? It's a transitional reverse."
Yep. I know,
Hey,
and
Blue.
it does make you want to just answer all 88s are Wide AMs. I mean, you know, it's so repetitive in those groups. You see that all the time that it's like, oh, yeah, okay, this is what it is.
Well, I got my new box of flips just now. Yay! 2 months.
I have my.
I ordered 2 cases today.
I have books and supplies, and I have a lot more than what is on this table, but this is my biggest expense right there. And now it is.
Hey, Shay, hold that back up again so people can see it. So there's 1,000 flips in that box, and that box of flips cost at least $75, including shipping. And there's 1,000 in there. I go through 3 of those every month.
Wow.
So there's part of my expense. I mean, I've got them everywhere. And so there's part of my expense. You know, if I was a collector, I might go through 100 a month.
Hey, but, I know where to get them for $50 a box.
Are they archival quality?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Double pocket?
Yeah.
Really?
Double pocket flips? They might be like $55, but that's a heck of a lot better than you're paying $75. That's $75.
I'm talking about with shipping too.
Yeah, shipping's free.
Okay, we need to talk.
Adriana, so if it wasn't for Adriana, I'd probably be spending $2,000 a month. She's amazing. She just scours all over the internet looking for the best price for the things that we need, and she saves us so much money every month. So
yeah, you're always going to save money buying in volume.
Yeah, that's
right.
True.
You know, if you get into it, 100 at a time is that's a starting volume. But if you really get into it, 1,000, yeah, you can use 1,000 flips in no time at all. And that's around where you're going to start to save money. You want to do 10,000 at a time? Yeah, you'll save more. Not quite as much, but it's a volume game.
So Chuck, Cindy wanted to ask you if you have any tips for taking pictures of coins, because she said you take fantastic pictures.
I appreciate that. The first tip that I've got is you can't get good photos with cheap equipment. And that's probably the #1 thing that you want to pay attention to. I use a digital SLR camera with a 100mm macro lens. It's a Nikon camera. I use a professional Polaroid copy stand with reveal lights. I use Adobe Photoshop on Creative Cloud to do the editing of my photos. It's all about setting your white balance, having good optics, and having a lot of patience in your lighting. And the patience in the lighting part is really difficult at first, but I paid a lot of attention to the online auctions and the book auctions and the photographs that they took in looking at how they lit the coins. And when I found something I liked, I tried to replicate it. When I figured out how to replicate it, I did it over and over and over again, and that's what I do. My equipment overall, for the copy stand, the camera, the lens, the Photoshop, not including the coins, not including the camera, not including the computer and the other stuff, we're talking about $4,500 worth of equipment, easy. So,
okay, so let me ask that question over again. What's the cheapest and best way to take good pictures of your coins?
The cheapest, best way. The cheapest best way I know of is, right there, cell phone. My cell phone takes really good pictures of coins, and I bought it specifically for that reason. My cell phone is also 2 years old, and it's outdated to today's standards, but this is an LG V20. An LG V20 has a really nice macro zoom on it. It does a very good job of taking photos.
I'm still running on the iPhone 7 Plus. When this first came out, this had some really good photos and really good capabilities to move. And I have a couple of programs I can use on here to manipulate some stuff. But I'll be getting a new phone here in a couple of months. I mean, I shell out a little bit of money every month to buy a better phone to be able to take photos quick. You know, if I'm going to post a $2-3 coin, I'm going to snap it real quick, get decent photos from my phone, and get it up and gone.
Blues just entered. Blues, you want to introduce yourself? Sorry, Ken. Ken went to the bathroom or something, I think.
I'm here. There's Blues.
Oh, Blues, no sound. Plug in your new microphone. Hello? Blues?
Can you hear me now?
No sound.
Should have sound now.
Huh.
He's got a brand
Hey, Blues, you're really faint. Turn up your volume. I heard you. You were very faint.
new.
Can anyone else hear him? He's
No.
real faint. Yeah, he's really faint. So you need to go into your options, your settings somewhere, and turn that up.
Yeah, he just got a brand new microphone, so maybe it's not set up.
Yeah, you were really faint, so it has to do something with your settings somewhere to where it's turned down.
Okay, I got you maximized on the control panel here.
Yeah, that's something in his settings. So I would go through, mess around, see if you can get it done, Blues.
Alrighty. As with all things, the deeper you go into the hobby, the more pricey things will be. If you're just collecting, for the sake of collecting, putting together sets, you don't need heavy-duty photographic equipment. If you get into selling or just sharing photos, a lot of times a simple cheap camera, even if it's just on your phone, is going to do all sorts of stuff for you. When you get into higher-end coins, really nice, gorgeous pieces, yeah, then it can make sense to invest the money into these superior camera products. That's a hobby unto itself, really. I picked up this thing a couple of years ago. Geez, I'm thinking like 8 years ago. It's a bloggy. It was actually pretty good in its day, but after a couple of years, geez, it's kind of obsolete. It takes a good quality photo, but it's a bear to work with. Nowadays, geez, they got wireless stuff. This, I got to plug it in separately. It becomes a storage device at that point. I can't do a live stream from this. There's good stuff out there. You can take good. Where's that coin I had that just came in? You can take good quality photos, but how good do you need it to be? Depending on the coin, you may want to see a different quality of camera, different shot. Set up some staging. Geez, is this good enough for this quality of coin? Perhaps. So something with a little more value, I might want to step up to a better quality camera. A lot of the equipment that's out there and available readily for everybody for less than $100 or for less than a couple of $100, or the iPhones, what are they, $600-700? Will take a pretty decent quality image, and you can get your idea across for sure.
Hey, Ken.
Yep.
I just sent an image into the email address. If you could post the image, that's what my cell phone does.
Ooh, is that 1930?
No, it's a 1946S.
I see you. Give me one moment to open this up.
Sure.
Are you guys able to hear me?
Yes.
Because for some reason, my Logitech camera is not wanting to work right now.
That's okay. It happens.
Did Blues ever get his sound back? Are you there, Eric?
Can you hear me? No, sure you're gonna say.
Blue still has no sound. Cheapskate, try unplugging your camera and plugging it back in. Oh, you have some camera there. It looks like a desk.
Yeah, my scope's working, but my overhead cam's not working.
Yeah, I got Chuck's photograph up here. Came into the email, and there's a couple more emails we'll have to get to shortly. And this was taken with your cell phone?
Yeah, it's taken with my LG V20 cell phone.
Now that's a decent photo for a coin. I'm starting to get some color in here.
Yeah.
You can show off great detail. And if
That's what I thought. That's one of the reasons I bought the phone. Wife took me to the Verizon store, and she says, you need to get a new phone. And I said, okay, well, give me a few phones. And I took coins out of my pocket and took pictures of them. And I bought my phone based on how the camera worked up close.
Hmm.
There you go. Yeah, I've seen some beautiful photos from cameras.
What kind of lighting are you using for that, Chuck?
That's just a desk lamp. And the reason the coin came out the color it did primarily is because the coin is actually that color. But something to remember and something to work with when you're talking about taking photos of coins and cameras is to understand how to use a preset white balance and make those colors come out right in the camera. One of the biggest problems I see with people using relatively inexpensive cameras is that they don't use their preset white balance setting and they don't come out with good images.
Hmm.
Yeah, see, I mean, I have a cheap rig up here, desk lamps, different colors to get a little bit of different lighting. I tend to, when I post coins, I want to post them with 2 different lightings at least.
Yeah, I've got the LG K30. The next step up from yours.
So, and then,
Does it do good?
Yeah, it does great.
So one thing that people often overlook in terms of taking photos, at least in terms of selling, is you want a good background. You either want a good white or a good black basic background for the most part.
I actually started using a piece of black construction paper.
What have I been? Yeah. I've been using back of a mouse pad recently. I mean, it's a touch textured, but it's a nice plain black. You want that coin to pop on that surface, and you don't want that, in essence, your background to take away from the focus of the coin.
A matte black poster board that absorbs the light, I find is really good for my photos. Yeah.
See, all I do is our kitchen has the best lighting in the house.
You do it all the time.
I take an empty penny box. I'll have the coin sitting right here. I put the camera on top of it with the camera sticking over. That way it's steady. And then I hit take picture.
I was just doing it handheld.
Oh my!
I
I
couldn't imagine
too much for that.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine how much better my images would be with my camera if I put it on something like that.
Yeah, you get hand shaky. That can be a little frustrating at times. But
I drink a gallon of coffee a day. I've got perfectly steady hands.
Right? Oh.
I don't.
This is coffee, by the way.
Good man.
This is what I call one serving.
Yeah.
I've taken my rig for setting the camera on and added a piece of foam, and boy, this really just makes life so easy. I can set the focus on it, have the coin ready to go right down here, and with that little bit of padding in there, it doesn't shake. Because I'm going to press the button and then get out of the way because it's got a timer, and it's enough of a cushion to stop the shaking, so I get a much clearer photo. It's a box of envelopes, some tape, and some bubble wrap, and it makes the photo better. There's lots of ways to get little cheats that'll give you better quality with whatever equipment you have.
I'm not even sure how I didn't come up with something that simple to do.
I'm a simpleton.
Yes, that's the thing. There, a lot of us, there is no one good way to do it. A lot of us just come up with our own little weird off the wall ideas and make them work.
I've just
everybody's needs are slightly different as well. I mean, for somebody that actually, has a problem with their hands shaking, they probably need to do something like that. But, my hands are steady and I don't need to use that. But one day I'm sure I will.
Do you drink a gallon of coffee every day?
Nope. 1 cup in the morning before work. That's it.
That's unacceptable.
I drink about 3 liters of Mountain Dew every day.
Wow.
Yeah, my issue is I have high blood pressure. Then if I get on the coffee, I'll get the shakes. So can't do too much photographing after I have my coffee at least.
So I've got this nice little on my USB scope. I've got the camera button right here.
I was just gonna say that's the best. Works the best for me.
And so all I have to do is get the coin in focus and hit the button, and it saves to my hard drive, and I can put it into an image editor or resize it, or create little scripts to resize, 100 images down to smaller thumbnails. And
there's no shaking from the hand to the camera.
Yeah. Oh, I shake like a leaf.
He doesn't shake.
Oh, look at this. I mean, I shake all the time. It runs in the family, so.
Yeah, we just recently picked up a Canon Power Shot, so I'm looking forward to playing with this with coins.
There you go.
And we got a tripod so I can have it pointing straight down.
How's my sound now?
We got you.
Oh, I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Blue's
Good. You never give up.
draws pictures of his coins. All Blue.
Yeah, the only thing I've been using for taking photos is my scope, but I fight with it every time. It's more of a pain than anything.
Yeah, sometimes your equipment gets you too close, and you want to be backed off a little bit more, and sometimes it's hard to do with certain.
My old scope, I could not fit. I couldn't get the whole coin in. My new scope, I can. I got the one that Shay has.
Yeah, plus there's coins that, an example of one would be one of them that I sent in for the big show. It was from the 1600s from Poland. When you're looking at it under a scope, it's so close you can't see on it. You have to look at it further out to be able to see the detail on it. So a lot of times, if you get too close on a coin, you'll lose detail.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually, like I said earlier, I use two different scopes. The one scope I use, I can adjust the focus infinitely. I can use that to take whole coin shots, depending on the stand I have it on. Your stand is also very important. When you buy a scope, a lot of times the stand that comes with it is a cheap little rinky-dink stand that doesn't really help too much. So I actually ended up buying a third scope just for the stand. It allows me to adjust the scope up and down seamlessly. The second scope I use is I actually had to take the clear plastic tip off of it so I could get it close enough to the coin, and allow me to get my finger under it. So it's kind of funny, not all scopes are the same as well. So keep that in mind if you're looking to get one.
And some of them can zoom out better. They'll work better when they're not really up close, and others won't.
Another thing that's more prevalent now, at least with some of the groups I posted now, if it's something turns something nice, a lot of us people that post a lot of stuff, we'll post a video. We'll post a video of that twirling that coin light, this and that, under good light and stuff like that. There's a lot of us putting videos in our postings now on Facebook and other places.
Believe it or not, a trick that a lot of professional photographers use is they'll actually shoot video of something and then they'll break it into a frame by frame and select out the best photos from that.
So I really enjoy this thing. I don't know if y'all can see this, but when I can go all the way, it does only extend so far, right? But then I've got this thing, and I can take this thing out if I want, and mount it on other things. I can get a higher shot, or just lock it in place right here, and that gives me all this room down here, and I can get full 1 ounce rounds and things like that that are really here. I'll just focus in. There we go. So that's really handy. I can look at my kids' ears, do all sorts of cool things with it.
Oh, what's that you've got under the scope? Is that a bus token?
Did yours come with this thing too?
Bus token, yeah, bus fare.
I can't figure out where this is supposed to go.
I'm not sure what that is.
Oh yeah, it comes with all these utensils. I have no idea what to do with.
Yeah, this I'm a little afraid of.
Yeah. Is it a glow stick, maybe?
No, so the scope goes inside there, and I think this is washable. So you do the math.
Put in the coin. Put in this next to the coin.
A little endoscope.
Study to be a proctologist.
Sorry.
Okay, Shay has the first couple of emails. I'll load it up. We can start taking a look at these.
All right, let me go ahead and see. I've got the first one's from CFA, and the only question he has, let me switch over to the image viewer. The only question he has is thoughts. I tried to do that. Well,
What was it?
thoughts? And then he has some pictures with some different diagrams or arrows pointing on the reverse.
My first thought is it's definitely a coin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that right there is a die clash.
Yep.
You're looking at details of linking showing through on the reverse because the obverse and reverse dies slammed together without a planchet between them and transferred designs to one another.
Yeah, you can see his head detail in there.
That where he's pointing to right now, that's the chin.
Yeah.
And then the top arrow points to the front of the vest. And the arrow on the left side points to the back of his hair. You have to remember, you're supposed to be looking at this upside down and backwards.
That's actually one of the better reverse linking clashes I've seen.
Yeah, you don't see
I don't
reverse
know.
clashes too often like that.
Does it have on there what the date is?
1966.
Cool.
Hang on, I need to stop everybody. We have a young lady who needs a shout out. Hello, Maya.
Hello, Maya.
Hi, Maya.
Maya's watching it. She's comparing personalities. She thinks Paula's is the best.
So I think one thing we need to point out on this coin here is it actually looks like this die was already abraded up near the top. I can see die abrasion lines on the reverse. That was under the A and the M. If you look, that zoomed in shot you had, there were die abrasion lines there. And where'd that shot go?
Is this it?
We have one on the left side.
Oh, yeah.
No, it was the shot that was just up on the screen right before you flipped it to the obverse. It showed,
There you go.
right there. You see those die abrasion lines? So I wonder if this was actually clashed twice. They tried to remove it
Entirely
once.
likely.
Yeah.
Well, I see multiple clashes, and they don't always line up.
It also could be that it was clashed so heavily that they would have abraded away parts of the design just to get the entire clash to go away. So they did the best they could with it.
Yeah. And another thing to point out is we do not see much, if any, evidence on the obverse of a clash. So also possible that one of the dies were switched out, or both.
Yeah, with that's a pretty heavy reverse clash. You'd expect to find at least a little bit on the obverse, typically at least, because typically you have wild, crazy obverse die clashes and not too many heavy reverse clashes.
But if you look at it, that obverse is really sharp, whereas there are parts on the reverse that look like is a somewhat weak strike. So yeah, the chance that they swapped out one of them is probably a good idea.
The relief on the obverse is deeper than the relief on the reverse, so it's easy to remove the marks on the obverse.
The other thing to take into account is that a lot of times when you have a die clash, one or the other side is going to shatter. And so that obverse die could have shattered and they replaced it.
Okay, because if you look especially up in E pluribus, that's a pretty weak strike.
Yeah, that weakness, the weakness of the TAT of states and the EPL of E pluribus unum is directly due to the fact that that part of the coin is directly opposite the shoulder.
Yeah,
So
you'll
it won't strike up unless it gets a complete and full strike.
Okay, so probably flatten it up a bit.
Yeah, you get bust fill. All that metal flows to that down that bust first.
You know, this is where I get mixed feelings about going through circulated rolls, because I do that quite often. I get boxes and boxes from the bank. You'll find stuff like this, which is great, but it has the corrosion on it and damage. It's like, you know, I get mixed feelings about it. It's still cool to find this stuff. What's that, Chuck?
You get your box, you dump all the rolls out. You pull out the coins that you don't think you would ever want to collect, even if they're good ones. You put those back in the box and you search all the rest.
That would bother me too much, because I'd be thinking there's an 84 double deer in there or something like that. There are a few coins that, regardless of condition, I would keep them.
Yeah, I was going to say, that kind of raises a question of, you know, when it comes to certain coins, how much damage is too much damage before you decide not to keep it? For example, if you find a 69S double die, but the entire back is just looks like it's been road rash, it's got corrosion all over the place, it's still a 69S double die.
I'm keeping it.
I'm keeping it.
Yeah, there's certain rules that I want to stick by, and if it's, you know, if it's not that wonderful a coin to begin with, I don't care. But a 69S double die, yeah, I'd go through Live Scorpions to get to one of those.
Yeah, if there's enough on there to tell that's what it is, even if that's all you can tell, I'm keeping it.
Yeah, someone on one of these panel shows the other night brought up about what would you be okay with taking a hold 1955 double die?
Yes.
I don't need to answer that question.
I'm there.
Sign me up.
All right, we got one that came in from Captain Jigga that he wants to just show off. That's a speared
eagle.
Right?
Wounded eagle, right?
Wounded eagle, yeah. He says he finds a lot of these up there in Michigan, I guess.
Now that actually got 2 cracks on it, the one right next to the other. Is that normal?
Right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And right down here, too, so 3.
You know, I think Michigan seems to be a hot spot for varieties. I know quite a few people that live in Michigan, and they're always pulling great stuff out of circulation. It's unbelievable. If anybody remembers Bob Brown, he was extremely active in the coin roll hunt groups quite a few years ago. I mean, that guy was pulling, it was the 2014 double die number 3, I believe it is, which was like
The lightning bolt.
one of the more extreme modern double dies you can find. He was pulling them. He was finding rolls and rolls of them. It was unbelievable.
Who is it? Is it Chris Hurley that finds those all the time?
Chris finds a lot of stuff. He's on fire. Him and Lackey Silitok. He's another guy that's always finding good stuff.
Location definitely matters.
Yeah. I'm like 2.5 hours from the Philadelphia Mint. You'd think I'd be finding a lot of good stuff, but it's been dry around here lately.
It's like, what is it, like 8 of the 92 cams that have been found were all from like the Chicago area.
Wasn't there a story about the 55 double die being given back in change of cigarette packs?
Yes.
Chuck, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, that happened in Western Pennsylvania, I believe, and it was in 1955. And I read a particular story that was published in one of the coin magazines probably about 25 or 30 years ago that specified that they had been found in a bowling alley. And this is apart from the cigarette thing. It was also in Western Pennsylvania, where there were people in bowling leagues bowling, and they were going up to get their sodas and getting their change and noticing that their brand new pennies they were getting had this doubling on them. And they figured, well, this has got to be valuable at some point. So everybody check your change. And a guy bought like 10 of them for a couple of dollars a piece. And this was back in 55. But that was another place where a few rolls or a roll of them surfaced, other than as a change in cigarettes. Basically, what the deal was with that is back in the day, cigarettes were, I don't really know for sure, but I'm going to say 19 cents a pack. And so basically what you do is you put 20 cents in the machine, get you a pack of cigarettes, and there was your penny change attached to the pack of cigarettes.
Yep.
Yeah, I know I had heard about it, them being in a machine.
Right. And it's been reported that people were finding those 1955 double dies on their cigarette packs.
You recall where out in Western Pennsylvania that was?
That's what I'm hearing, is that it was in Western Pennsylvania from between Harrisburg to Pittsburgh. I mean, Harrisburg to Pittsburgh area. So central to Western Pennsylvania is where I'm hearing most of them came up.
Sorry, Jeffrey, you're too young for that, man.
That's fine. I mean, this is what I do during the week. This is how you know you have an addiction. You're on something like this, and you're writing notes to look up after the show in this week.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine finding one of those actual cigarette packs with the penny still stuck to it?
That would be a huge history item.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what about would $2 in 1955's equivalent be today?
Probably close to 10.
Is that it?
Yeah, $10 or $12.
Easily that.
So what I know is that, and I'm going off of this, in 1950 it cost $1.50 to get into a New York Giants game. This was baseball. So it cost $1.50 back then to get into a baseball game in 1950, and now it costs $25, $30, up to $50 to get into a baseball game. So you're paying 20 times your money, so $2, probably $40 at this point.
Yeah.
So these, you guys make sure you check this. This is my favorite date, 2000p. It's the one where you find all these varieties. The Wounded Eagle or Spirit Eagle, which is a die gouge. You can find. You want to take a look at the tail feathers. If you see little lines on those, you'll have that's the enhanced tail feathers, Cheerios variety, and then. You can also check the ICA for a die clash over in that area. You want to check for rotation. You want to check for the mule quarter, of course. And you could also find a silver Sacagawea that it would be the mule. I guess the color is silver because they used the wrong planchet. They used the SBA planchet for this. So lots of different varieties on this year.
We have any idea on value on something like that?
For the Wounded Eagle?
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen a Wounded Eagle.
So, you know what? The only
I know they have value to it. Definitely.
I think I had a reference in Treasure in Your Pocket Change book. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Ken Potter's book.
PCGS has them at, my page is loading so slow.
Strike It Rich in Pocket Change. That's right. Kindle decided to upgrade.
Well, PCGS has them. I don't know why my internet's being so slow today.
Yeah, I'm looking at PCGS right now.
$94 is MS62 is Heritage auction record. $94 in MS62. Sorry.
Okay. So uncirculated, somewhere in the $100 range.
The mule.
No, the 2000 Wounded Eagle.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say
that's what you're asking about.
The mule is like $30,000 if you find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and its official designation for the Wounded Eagle is FS 901.
Okay.
I just found one that sold recently, May 5th. It was listed as MS on eBay, sold for $300.
Wow.
I saw a comment in the chat that's bears mentioning. Michael Kittle, Rare Coins, says cigarettes were 23 cents a pack in 1955, but the vending machines took 25 cents. So they had 2 cents packed up in the pack as your change. He said he saw one of the packs with 2 wheat cents sealed in it at a local show one time.
Oh, wow.
So was it
left in the pack.
I guess the wheat side was showing, not the obverse.
May have been either way. I don't think they would have paid any attention to that back in the day. They would have just thrown the 2 coins in there.
Now you have the conundrum of, do you open the pack to get the penny out to see if it's a 55, or do you just leave it?
That depends on where your particular version of OCD carries you.
If you're buying cigarettes, you got to open the pack to smoke them, right?
No,
Well, if you're gonna smoke them, sure.
You'd think so.
I'm officially 5 years a non-smoker.
Congratulations.
Nice.
I'm
I'm actually officially a year now too myself. I recently quit.
I've got about 20 minutes.
Yeah, I got about 5. Well, 2 actually, because I just stepped over there.
We do have another email from Christopher Gann, and he's showing us a picture of his 1982 small date zinc DDR.
That is a 1982 small date. That is a DDR. That's very nice. That is the right one.
Yep, that's a nice one.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That
I
is
have yet to find any of those.
Now, who belongs to that coin?
Chris Gann.
Wow.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, for sure. That's
Cool.
definitely the double die right there. That, to me, I believe, is going to end up being one of the most important Lincoln Cent double dies known. The reason for it is that even the 1983 double die reverse happened on an issue that was a relatively common issue, whereas the 1982 small date zinc is one of the lowest mintage issues. And given that, to find a super double die like that on a lesser common issue is really, really scarce. Adding to that, they also had a lot of problems with the copper bath on the planchets that year. And it was the first year of the zinc planchets, and this is one of those first year zinc planchets. So the idea that you're going to end up with a coin like this that is as well preserved as this one is makes a huge difference. Do we have any idea when this one was found? Is this one of the 3 that was known to exist, or is this a new one?
Chris Gann, you in chat? Chris Gann sent that in.
He is there. He is in chat. I don't know. He hasn't answered.
Yeah,
So he'll answer eventually.
Yeah.
But I would be interested in knowing if this is one of the original 3 that I know about, or if I should add one and call this the 4th example known.
Well, Chuck, do you know are all 3 slabbed?
I don't know whether they are or not. I know one of them is.
He said he found it January of 17.
January of 17. So this would be a new one. This is beyond the 4 that I already knew to exist. I can also see that it has a lot of weakness at the very top of the letters. That to me shows some die wear and or a lot of abrasion to get rid of maybe a clash or another problem. The other one that I examined, I do not believe had that same weakness. I'm about to check my images now.
So Chuck, actually, there's an image up on Ken Peavy's screen. That's actually the example listed in the Cherry Picker's Guide, correct?
This is the Cherry Picker's Guide. If I can get it to focus.
That is. Hang on a second. Let me check it on my website, because that's the only way I know that they were the photos I took.
Yeah, I'm curious to know if the weakness is the same, because if it's not, then that would almost say that there's more out there, right?
His has more weakness because his D, the top of his D is almost completely missing on United.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And the one that I took the photos of does have the weakness at the top of states, but the D is about like the one in the Cherry Picker's Guide. In fact, I believe the one in the Cherry Picker's Guide is the same coin. It could be the same coin as the one I photographed. It's not my photos, though. No, it's a different coin.
Does that imply that there are more out there, or could the weakness in the letters be caused by maybe a thinner planchet or something else?
So you're thinking that the dye was so worn they just got rid of it, so now there's just not, there weren't very many produced. Is that what you're thinking, Chris?
No, I'm thinking that if the example in the cherry picker's guide and in Chuck's photos
are so different,
do not match the example we're looking at right now,
different stages.
that means there was more wear on the die. Does that imply that there are more of these coins out there, or is it just an anomaly such as maybe a thinner planchet or something like that?
I'm going to say neither one. The die was either weakly hubbed to begin with, or there was some abrasion on the die after it was hubbed, but that's not die wear, and it's not from thin planchets.
Okay, so would that imply that there are more out there then?
Not necessarily, no. Everything that I've seen in what evidence I've seen through photographs and viewing coins, including the coin that we're looking at now, which I've never seen, implies that this die ended its life rather early. So there weren't very many of them made. Why we only know of less than a half dozen to exist, I have no clue. Same thing with the 69S double die. You're talking about a coin that's 50 years old this year, and we still only know of about 3 dozen of them ever.
Well, maybe it has something to do with the fact that everybody's looking for that 82D copper, and so they're just chucking away the,
well, that's possible too.
And they're not even looking for those. So there's no die wear because it doesn't have the flow, die deterioration flow, and it's so squared. The strike is so squared at the top of those letters. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Why it's not die wear? Okay.
There's no die wear on this die that I can see.
Okay.
So I don't know. I picked this out of the book because there was some value on it, right? It was like several $100,000, wasn't it, on this particular DDR?
Not that much, no.
No?
No. The most valuable one I have ever seen sell went for less than $10,000.
Oh, so there's another one that is more?
Not for the 82 double die reverse.
Really? Oh.
No, I can't read the numbers in there because it's not focusing very well on Ken's screen.
Cherry Picker's Guide goes up to MS65 at $1,500.
That's way undershot.
Yeah. Mind you, there's a few years on this book as well.
Yeah, it's worth multiples of that, but it's not worth. To my knowledge, no one has ever paid 10,000 or more for one of these.
I was looking at 300 to 1,000, and I said 300,000.
There you go. Yeah, 300 to 1,000 is a lot less.
I have a list of coins worth over $1,000 as my short list, and that one's on it. So
Can we bring well, there's not really a good way to look at this doubling on the image that was taken. It shows me well enough to show the doubling. Is there an image of the doubling of the ED in United in the batch in the email?
This one.
Oh, there it is. Okay, you can kind of see it there. It's okay. Notice how the bottom of the E is very strongly doubled, and the center of the E is also very strongly doubled.
Yep.
But if you look at the top of the E, there's not hardly any doubling up there. And that's because the die was hubbed very weakly to begin with. The top of the E and the D don't really show the doubling. So that area right up there, you're only seeing one image of an E and not two. But if you look lower down in the middle bar and in the lower bar, those are very heavily doubled.
Now, is that on the examples that have been found with the top of them being weak?
Yes. I wish I knew how to do a screen presentation using this because I'm looking at the images that I took right now, and it looks pretty much precisely like the coin in the image that you're seeing right now, except the shadowing is a little different in the image that I took, and it's a lot easier to see.
Chuck, because it's not like that on the top of the U, N, and I, and it shows so prominent on the TED. Would that be a tilt? Would a tilt cause that?
No, the eye naturally is not going to show up well because the doubling runs in the same direction as the eye, and the top of the eye was not hubbed very well, so you don't see a lot of doubling. Kind of the same thing with the N. But if you're able to look at the lower swing of the U, you'll see that the doubling is really strong in the U. And that's because it runs, that area runs perpendicular to the edge, to the direction of doubling.
I was just thinking because you said it was struck weak in that area. If it was,
no, it's not a weak strike. It was a weak hubbing.
A weak hubbing. Okay.
Yeah, completely different thing. The die itself was weakly hubbed. So the outside edges of all the doubling going all the way around the coin is weak.
Okay.
Is this image, Shay? Can you knock that over to the U of United? Can we see the U?
By the way, we're discussing this coin. I just want to say congratulations to Christopher for finding it, because it is definitely a good find.
Ken, can you lock on Shay? The chat saying they're looking at you.
Yep.
There we go. You can see the doubling really well on the bottom of the U.
Yeah.
And we saw another image that shows the doubling on cent, but it's not very strong. The strongest part of the doubling, there we go, the 1 cent. It's not very strong doubling. It's pretty good, but it doesn't show up real strongly because this is a it's an offset hub doubling, and the offset kind of goes from the left to the right. So it's going to be more toward the top in the E pluribus unum where you're going to notice it best. That's where I saw it first. When the image of the whole coin came up, that image right there, I could immediately see it in E pluribus unum. For someone who looks at coins a lot, that's easy to see.
Yep. It reminds me of the 2004 DDRs in EPU.
In a way it does, but the shadowing in this particular photo doesn't really show the separation between the two sets of letters, as well as you'll see it if you look at an actual coin. It is actually very sharp doubling. I mean, it's kind of like that blurred vision thing that you see on a T-shirt. Kind of gives you crossed eyes because you're looking at two things at once. That's kind of what this looks like if you look at the images that were taken with proper shadowing.
Doesn't the 64D have that in E pluribus unum also?
Yes, it does. 64 plain.
Or 64 plain, yes.
64 plain.
There we go.
Number one.
Ken got it up on the screen there.
Yeah.
There we go. There's Ken on my website right there.
That's where it's from.
Yep, you can see the separation between the letters really, really well.
Yeah.
And then slide up and look at the image of the top of the TE, or the top of the TED of United. Look right there. You can see on the E, you can see doubling on the bottom, doubling in the middle, and nothing on the top.
Yeah, that's what in high grade would be a naked eye.
Oh, I'm sure it would. If your naked eyes are better than mine.
My eyes are never naked.
AU 750 is what Chuck has written here.
You know what? Those values are actually low. I probably need to edit those, but because the one that I know of that sold was it was a low grade mint state coin, and it sold for $7,800.
Very nice.
Yeah,
there are so few sales of these things. We expected that more would eventually surface after I listed it, after I got it on the website and it got out in Coin World and got in the Cherry Picker's Guide. We figured more people would be finding them because more people would be looking for them. Because in history, most people just toss the 1982s aside and don't ever put them under a scope.
Oh, he said it's slabbed now.
It is?
Yes.
What is it, AU?
What was the grade, Christopher?
Looks like it probably graded 50 or a 55.
He said, sorry I didn't get a better price. It's slab now.
Better picks, yeah. He hasn't said the grade yet.
Well, that's a handsome find. Keep your eyes up, folks.
Yeah. AU 58.
58.
58. Okay.
Nice.
That just goes to show if people are not checking their coins, it
No,
doesn't
that's true.
matter if there's only been 3 of them found. Another one just got noticed in 17. So
Yeah.
don't discount the ones that, oh, there's only a small handful of them ever been known. Always be checking because you don't know what you're going to come across.
And I have seen several coin roll hunting videos where people are just chucking aside their zincs, their 82 small date zincs, 82 large date coppers. They're only looking at the 82D small date and weighing them. That's it. They're throwing everything else to the side. I've seen many, many, many coin roll hunting videos.
Absolutely seeing that, and it drives me absolutely bonkers to see that happen.
Mm-hmm.
I've said it before, the money's not in the silver, it's not in the wheat pennies, it's in the dye varieties.
For sure.
People hunt these rolls and they're just looking for silver, they're looking for wheat, maybe some Canadians or something odd. And they check a few dates, 69, 72, maybe the lambs and cams. There's so much more out there.
That is, I know exactly what that is, Shay, and I've never seen one, but I know exactly what it is.
What's he showing? Oh, is that a
He's showing a color break on a 1972 half dollar.
Right.
That's where there was a break in the color and the metal when it was being mashed and was forming up against the color. It seeped through the crack in the color and actually made a bulge on the side of the coin. And then when you look at on the obverse or the reverse at the rim area right there, it's very weak at the rim because there was no metal left to push up the rim, because it all went into the side of the coin at the edge.
Oh, I'm locked on Ken. There. Very cool.
What is that? What
Did
date
you
is it?
find that, Shay?
It's 2002 NIFC, 2002 P. But
Find that?
I have come across a couple of them. I think I might have one of those 72s you were talking about.
Oh, no, I was assuming this was a 72, I guess, because I could only see the 2.
But yeah, you can see the weakness he's talking about. It kind of reminds me of a clip, you know, with that little. I know it's not a clip, but I mean how that tapers off towards yeah.
Well, it's the same physics at work.
Yeah.
What that is.
Does anybody know a resource where people can look for the because I do see coins like that often that come off of holders or come off of necklaces, or so I want people to be able to know what to look at on the coin.
Yeah, but
What are we talking about specifically?
Like you said, the weakness in the area, things like that, so that they would know if it's just solder or if a broken collar. You do see coins that have solder on them from.
Okay.
You understand? Not markers. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a.
Hey guys, we got a question in chat real quick.
Yeah, I see that.
It's from Norman Aces. He said he's going to the Long Beach Expo. It's going to be his first coin show he's ever been to. And he would like to know if anybody has some advice for him about how to navigate a coin show.
Okay, so the biggest advice, go there with a budget in mind. Don't mortgage your house going to your first show. Take just enough money with you, and my biggest advice, explore the whole show before you buy.
Yep. I'm 100% the same with you, Jeffrey. Go ahead.
Because what's going to happen is you're going to find something at booth 1 you're going to like, and you're going to buy it. Then you're going to go to booth 2, and then by the time you get to the end of the show, you're out of money, and the coin that you really set out to go get, you can't buy now. You don't have enough money. So either go with the budget or go with take your checklist with you. Say you want to go and get a $200 coin, and that's what you're going to go search out. Go to each dealer, find that. So go with the plan. Don't go willy-nilly.
Yeah. However, I do want to tell you something. So I went to the coin show specifically looking for this set. All right. This is the Kennedy $50 50th anniversary set, right? It's beautiful, you know, and I already knew what it cost, and it comes with this nice, you know, all the reverse enhanced proof and all that stuff, right? Well, in this, when I went to the show, let me see if I can show this. There you go. All right. So the first table I came to, I found a seller willing to give it to me for $75. All right. Second table, I found one. It was $140. The third table, somebody was selling it for $300. This is the same set. So if you know what price range and you are early at the show and you are able to snag the right dealer at the right time, you really can get a good deal. Even though some of the other dealers were way overpriced, this is typically a $100 set. Retail probably 120, 140. So yeah, anyway, be ready. If you're ready to go to a coin show looking for specific things and you find the right price, nail it. All right.
Yeah, I was just going to say, know your prices going in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a game plan. Before you get there, have a game plan. Know what you're looking for. Have a budget. Like Jeffrey said, make sure you shop around before you actually purchase anything. That's the first thing I do. When I get there, I will take a slow walk around the entire show, see what each dealer has, what their prices are, because there's certain dealers that I won't even go to look at their stand because I can tell right off the bat that their prices are just so high that it's not really worth it to me. So I will focus more on the fair dealers, and then I'll look for specific items that I want. And you know, there's always that dark horse. There's always something you're going to see that you weren't expecting to find, and you might end up buying.
Yeah, I found a table that had 1,000 wheats for $35. I was like, all right, grab it. You know, I came back 30 minutes later, and all the other bags were all gone, sold out. Yep. That was a good deal. But
and you probably wish you would have bought them all.
I do. I found quite a few RPMs and all sorts of cool stuff in that bag.
Me, I suggest longevity. Stick with that show. A lot of the dealers are going to come back. It's their route, right? They'll go from one show at this place on Tuesday to that show on Saturday, or the third Sunday of the month they're going to be at this particular show. You'll find the same dealers coming back to the same shows, and you can build a reputation with them. You can build a rapport. You get to know them, and the better they know what you're looking for and what you like and how you operate, the easier it's going to be as far as a transaction goes. You get a better price, a better deal. They get to know you.
Oh yeah.
On top of that, Ken, they're going to start bringing stuff to the shows specifically to cater to your needs because let's face it, they are there to sell items. So
they will cater to their customer base, and you are their customer base.
Yeah, I have a real small show here. Actually, it's in Round Rock, and there's only about 25 tables. And those guys know I'm hunting for 2-cent pieces, 20-cent pieces, half dimes, and they've actually brought them to the show for me. So it pays to make it pays to talk to them and
you want to build good rapport with your dealers.
And it's the same ones every time. It's the same people mostly.
You'll get some new ones. Well, go meet them. Every now and then you'll meet one and you just don't click. You don't mesh. You don't get along.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he's a Mets fan and you like the Cubs. Whatever it is, you're going to find dealers who are going to work with you and some who aren't going to for whatever reason. And the deal comes into repetition, going back over and over. It's okay if you miss a show, but you want to probably get back to that same show.
The other thing is you'll find a dealer trying to sell you a way overpriced variety coin too. I mean, they do it just because the hassle to them, you know. I mean, just telling you straight up, a lot of dealers think that people like us that look for varieties and errors are a big hassle, so they tend to stack on some prices just because that's what we're doing,
Yes.
looking at the coins.
Yeah, so me, in terms of southwestern Pennsylvania, I hit most of the shows within a 50-mile radius. And I'm the variety and error guy. So if there's variety and errors, you want to know who they get brought to? They get brought to me. I have dealers that come up to me and ask me about varieties and errors. Most of the time, they're not right. The thing is, I take my scope with me every show I do. I haven't been to a show in the past 2 months. I gotta start getting back to shows. I've had stuff come up. But yeah, I'm the variety and error guy. There's people that I can't tell you. There's probably at least one show to where I'll have people bring in about 3 dozen cuds a month to this show. You want to know who gets them? Me. So it's nice.
Carry some gloves. That'll make you stand out for sure. You have a pair of gloves you put on before you start going through their coins. They're like, they look at you inquisitively like there's something wrong with you. Like, really?
Michael Jackson at a coin show.
Yeah.
And one thing,
man.
and one thing from being able to sit on both sides of the table, don't be rude. If you're a rude customer, I'm not going to give you good prices. If you're a rude dealer, I'm not going to spend the money at your table.
Yeah. And try to be wary of other coin dealers that are coming to that dealer to buy coins, and they're sitting down buying thousands of dollars worth of coins, and you're looking through their silver coal box. You know, just kind of give them some space. Come back, you know.
Yeah, but work the entire room. More than anything else, that's key. It's too darn easy to hit that first table, and dude, it's joys and delights from one side to the other. It's love right there in front of you. I'll take it all, please. Just put it in a box and I'll go.
Another thing is, if you're going to Long Beach, take your time and enjoy the show.
Oh, you're gonna see stuff you never
The
seen.
Long Beach show. Enjoy yourself. Don't rush. Take time. Look at some stuff that you're not able to buy.
I wouldn't try to take pictures or use video.
No, just take a look. See what people have.
That's a very important clue right there, because that's how I learned how to grade coins. One of the ways to learn how to grade coins is to look at coins that are graded.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The more you're exposed to, the more you'll know.
Perfect reference set right in front of you.
Yeah, prime example is, I mean, I've never owned a 55 double die, but man, if I held quite a few 55 double dies, graded and ungraded.
And if you have coins you want to get graded and you want to save yourself some money, PCGS and NGC will both be there, and you'll be able to get it done cheaper and without the shipping fees.
And we've had several shows where we talked about how those slabs may not be labeled correctly. So keep an eye out for the varieties. You can cherry pick those slabs.
Most times, variety won't be listed on the slab. A lot of
You have to pay extra for it to be on there.
yep, you got to pay extra. You got to tell them you want it on there, and PCGS and NGC will only attribute certain varieties. I think Annex will do a lot more. But I think PCGS and NGC, I could be wrong, but I think they stick with the cherry picker guide coins.
Oh,
Well, Annex has a deal with Wexler, so they'll actually put the Wexler codes on the slabs too.
so there's one thing that you might want to think about and check into in advance is that Annex goes to every one of the shows here in Texas, and they'll take all your coins in. They'll help you identify them and check the right boxes, and then it's free. It doesn't cost you shipping to send it in. That's huge. That's huge savings.
Cut your cost by half.
Yeah.
Easy.
So plan ahead, get your coins identified. Don't try it the day before. You'll just be rushed, but get all your coins, figure out what they all are, and get them ready for sending in and take them to the show. So,
and if they know you collect Kennedy half dollars, they'll let you in for free.
Yeah.
Because they feel sorry for you.
That was the direct shot.
If you're a PCGS member, you get in for free anyway.
Hey, yeah, you get into most shows for free. They're having enough trouble dragging people into the shows. They're not going to charge you. They're not going to charge you anything to get in most of the time.
Chuck, I got one for you.
Is that for me to look at?
Yeah.
That's been rolled up in a dryer, it looks like.
Hey, I just happen to have a blog article about that as well.
But it is a damaged coin. That's not a mint error. And that damage was caused by continual rolling inward on the edge of the coin, where the metal has actually pushed back into the coin. Exactly what caused it, I don't know, but I have seen I've seen commercial clothes dryers do that.
Yeah, I think that's Coin Dragon. I think had come up with that for me when I was first starting. 2 years ago, I think he looked at that for me, and I don't know. I just found it the other day, so I thought I would show it. I hung on to it. It's still cool.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's neat looking.
Yeah.
Okay, the checkmycoin at yahoo.com is still available. If you have photos, send them in. Ask a good question, and we should be able to get to you.
Kind of bouncing back to a question before we get interrupted there. What's a good diagnosis to distinguish between a broken collar coin and coin that was soldered into a bezel, for example?
Broken collar tends to be more square. It's a metal pushed through a collar, so you get the collar still remaining. Solder tends to be kind of smoothed out just from the heat required to get the solder on there. If you've ever soldered anything, you know it puddles, it pools, it gets more round. The way the metal grabs metal will suck it out. You have a well, you can have a bulge, which is an upper meniscus, or it stretches if you're really good at soldering, and it'll be curved inward. And what's the term I'm looking for? Hyperbolic, perhaps. But it is.
I didn't pass that class. Sorry.
Yeah, but the solder is usually a different metal than the coin itself.
Yep. So Ken just hit on the big point. I'd say difference in composition.
Just a good tip. Michael Kittle, Rare Coin, said that everybody gets into Long Beach if you pre-register online first.
I was only joking about the Kennedy $50 part. He knows I like him even though he collects $50.
Yeah, I collect Kennedys.
Sorry, man. Don't tell your parents.
Yeah, exactly. Here, wash your hands after you do that.
Okay, Shay, do you have another one? I see one just came in here.
Oh, let me check.
There'll be a moment. We'll get to it.
Oh, yeah. Dirt. Downloading now. Unzipping.
Hey, Ken, just out of curiosity, what's that green book behind you?
Looks like Ken has dumped us.
Yeah, where'd Ken
Ken's
go?
gone.
Ken drop?
So is Paula.
Paula dropped out just a second ago too. Yeah. Hopefully they'll be able to get connected again.
Are we still live on
seeing
YouTube?
a picture of a 1944 Lincoln cent that appears to be cleaned.
We are. Well,
I'm seeing that on Shay's screen anyway. But
Ken
Shay's not-
TV says, "Oh no" on YouTube.
Yeah, they must have lost something. It says we're still live, so
Ken's in the chat now. He said, "Oh no."
definitely a clean one.
Cindy said they snuck off together.
Let's see what.
Yeah.
Email says check the U in Unum. Is that a CUD?
No, that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
place where the rim was damaged.
Yeah, you can see it's dented in.
Wow, that
The
coin had a
rim's
rough.
been dented in so badly it's been actually ripped off and mashed into the coin.
That baby's been cleaned too.
Ken's reloading. He'll be back in a second. I guess we're just gonna be focused on me for a while. I guess.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happened when it was in the tumbler they used to clean it.
Yeah, like a metal detecting find or something.
Actually, what I'm seeing is on YouTube, I'm seeing the video stuck on Chris.
I see it stuck on me.
I see Jeffrey.
Yeah, we're still live. I mean,
That's weird.
Did he give anybody control? Let me see.
okay, so Ken just started a new stream, I believe.
Oh yeah, I'm presenting. So apparently he must have done good because I can switch to everybody. So that's good.
Yeah, the stream's still going.
He just started a new stream though, so
Okay.
So he's got 2 simultaneous streams going.
okay, so we're probably just gonna have to, I guess, end this one, and Ken just send the link for us. So
So I guess all the people watching will have to go back out to Ken's channel and watch for us to go live again.
Yes, if he started part 2 already, then they can jump over there and we'll just join.
Okay. Well, I'll do that.
Yeah, y'all go ahead. I'll stick around for just another minute. Anybody that's still here, there is another video started. We lost our host, and I'm sure that they're already starting another channel right now. So go ahead and switch over. I'll be joining over there in just a few minutes.
I mean, I'm looking at Ken's channel right now. It's not showing a new one.
Not showing a new one. Hi, SJ. How are you? I'm sure he'll be in the stream soon so that he can stream again. Maybe I have to go, so we can stay here and chat.
Yeah, it's still the same stream with 25 watching. Started 107 minutes ago.
Oh,
Up next.
Oh, there we go. It just popped up.
all right, cool. All right.
A part 2.
See y'all later.